let us all do we can to build a better future.
There is an ongoing crisis happening in East Palestine, Ohio. There was a train crash that took place there, and there is further fallout, literally, from this accident. Now, a lot of innocent families are suffering because of this. And before we do get started, I want everyone to remember that this is happening under the Biden-Harris administration. And there's a certain person who's in charge of the Department of Transportation, and this falls under his jurisdiction. That person's name, it goes by the name of Pete Buttigieg. That's right. You know, everyone's favorite Democratic up-and-comer, the failed clone version of Obama. Yes, this falls under his jurisdiction. And this isn't the first time there has been severe issues in regards towards, well, transportation safety here in the United States, be it from airplanes, roads, now trains. Pete Buttigieg's career will be known as a failure in planes, trains, and automobiles. So there you go. Had that in some humor in this devastating crisis that's taking place. And I also want to give a side note as well. We did cover this story last week on Thursday's show hosted by Lainey Peterson in regards to a journalist that was arrested for bringing up this question in regards towards this train crash. I want everyone to know that these dangerous chemicals are impacting not only the people in East Palestine, Ohio, but outwards. And from all reports coming in right now, we don't know the full damage yet. And what are some of the long-term health consequences that will be impacting not only the people that live there, but also the environment as well. This has been a failure of epic proportions. And because of the negligence of the people in charge, innocent Americans are going to suffer. Now, again, this is right now just only impacting the state of Ohio. But again, we do live on this planet called Earth. And there's a thing called, again, wind patterns and gusts of wind. And that means other communities can suffer from this as well. Another interesting point I want to pull up, and that is many of these dangerous chemicals are being transported on railway systems that have severe infrastructure issues. Now, because of that, we should just be concerned about potential disasters down the road. I want to pull up this video here. Shout out to Extra Bulla, who managed to retweet this out. I want to make sure to give credit where credit's due. We basically nuked the town with chemicals so we could get the railroad open, and an imposter tweeted us out. Some more information came out today about the chemicals on the train that derailed in East Palestine, Ohio. A hazmat specialist said, we basically nuked the town with chemicals so we can get a railroad open. Well, what exactly is going on? Let's find out.
I'm Stan Boney. It's now been 10 days since Norfolk Southern train derailed in East Palestine, and tonight we know more about the chemicals that...
By the way, side note, Christina Nye writes, probably should have let the rail workers get what they wanted instead of forcing them back to work. Hey, Congress, I know you're busy doing insider trading. Hey, AOC, I know you're waiting in wings to become Nancy 2.0, but, you know, maybe if you guys actually gave a damn about workers and worker safety and maybe investing in our infrastructure, we wouldn't be in this situation. Hey, Bernie, you know that thing you like to talk about, Medicare for all? Yeah, a lot of those people in Ohio, not just in East Palestine, Ohio, but a lot of communities in Ohio are going to need health care because, you know, breathing in these chemicals, it's not really good for the human body. And there's long-lasting consequences from that. So, hey, politicians, once again, brilliant job in screwing over the American people. This is what do I say on this show all the time? These old politicians who don't care about you, who don't think about you, who don't respect you, are okay with you and your friends and your family suffering. This could have been stopped, but they didn't do it, did they? So what does that tell you if you're a diehard Democratic voter or Republican voter? It means you're just a victim of domestic abuse. Take off your sunglasses and show me that shiner.
that were on the train.
First News digital reporter Jen Rodriguez has been in the village today, taking a closer look at what else was on that train. She has those details and much more in our top story tonight at 6.
We now know 3 more chemicals that were on board the Norfolk Southern train that derailed here in East Palestine just over a week ago. And we're being told that some of those chemicals are dangerous.
We basically nuked a town with chemicals so we could get a railroad open.
The U.S. Environmental Protection Agency sent...
Let's just play that again one more time, just so all of you can hear it.
Some of those chemicals are dangerous.
We basically nuked a town with chemicals so we could get a railroad open.
The U.S. Environmental Protection Agency sent a letter to Norfolk Southern stating that ethylene glycol monobutyl ether, ethylhexyl-acrylate, and isobutylene were also in the rail cars that were derailed, breached, or on fire. Caggiano says ethylhexyl-acrylate is especially worrisome. He says it's a carcinogen, and contact with it can cause burning and irritation in the skin and eyes. Breathing it in can irritate the nose, throat, and cause coughing and shortness of breath. Isobutylene is also known to cause dizziness and drowsiness when inhaled.
I was kind of surprised that when they quickly told the people they can go back home, but then said if they feel like they want their homes.
You know, just an interesting note. And no, I hope this doesn't get people angry, but it should leave a lot of you to ponder and wonder. You know, we've seen this before where a government lies to its people, where a government fails to protect its people. In the early days of the Chernobyl disaster, what did the old Soviet government do? Lock it down. Shh, don't tell anyone about it. Now, again, as soon as everyone realized that this is a disaster of epic proportions, they were quick to evacuate the people. But I guess here in America, oh, you know what? You just go home. Go home. Don't worry about it. Oh, you dizziness, drowsiness. Are you having a hard time breathing? Oh, you went blind? Don't worry about it. Just take a salt tablet. You'll be fine.
Tested. They can have them tested. I would have far rather they did all the testing.
Caggiano says it's possible some of these chemicals could still be present in homes and on objects until you clean them thoroughly.
Oh, there's a lot of what ifs, and we're going to be looking at this thing 5, 10, 15, 20 years down the line and wondering, gee, cancer clusters could pop up, you know, well water could go bad.
Caggiano recommends...
And the list goes on and on and on. But again, the government said to the people, you can go home. Don't worry about it. Don't panic. Do not panic. Don't worry about that cloud in the sky. It's just fine. Oh, acid rain? Just huddle indoors. It'll go away.
Anyone who's in the East Palestine area, get a health checkup. He says get a record now of where...
Get a health checkup. In the richest country in the world where, again, you know, our healthcare is tied to our jobs, you know, and if you get fired or the business has to shut down or they start firing or laying people off, you know, I mean, then you don't have your health care. Trust the capitalists to tell you that things are okay. Trust a politician that will say it's all safe. Tell me, how's that working out for us right now? Especially with those old dinosaurs in Congress. I want to acknowledge a YouTube super chat that we got to from Mahmoud Muradi, tip $2. Deregulation had something to do with it too. Yeah, a lot of these politicians, Democrat and Republican, deregulate. Let the corporations run things because they'll be efficient. That's going to be a failure right there.
your health stands so that moving forward, you'll have documentation of any possibly related effects to the train derailment. In East Palestine, Jennifer Rodriguez, WKBN 20.
So, all right. Let's talk about some of the other dangerous issues that are impacting, again, the people in Ohio. I want to pull up this video here as well. All of you need to see this, and all of you need to be sharing this immediately.
It's Sunday night. There was a new document dropped. Update for the Norfolk Southern disaster in East Palestine, Ohio. This might be the biggest update we've had yet. It's a complete manifest from the train from Norfolk Southern. EPA makes sure to note that initially they were only notified of the chemical compounds in the trains orally. Also saying that they're not responsible for what's in this document. Just like all the other EPA documents that I've posted, they're available from a link in my bio. The EPA also released air results today. I don't know if we're going to get a chance to talk about them because this is a lot to talk about. It's a lot to go over, a lot of things that have been confirmed, and then a whole bunch of stuff that we're hearing for the first time. So the vinyl chloride. Train cars 28 through 31 were vinyl chloride. Car number 55 was also. We have to make a whole video to talk about the vinyl chloride because that's a bigger thing, but let's just say I wouldn't think right now that at this point in time, vinyl chloride is a worry. I think concerning air, there's more of a concern about particulate, but that's going to have to be another video. This is just train contents. Some things that we didn't know. There were 3 train cars of diethylene glycol. One of the cars completely spilled and 2 of them were leaking. This chemical is flammable. It's toxic. It's used in the manufacturing of plastics. It's also used in some brake fluids. Based on the tank car class, that's these things here, there is at least 16,000 gallons that were lost. No definitive indication whether if it was burned or if it was just spilled. There's 1 car of polypropylene glycol that was breached. This is also a chemical that's used in the manufacturing of plastics. It is
Again, interesting was that whole list. I want to pull up another video here as well, which again is showing the overall damages from the explosion. So again, folks, things are getting progressively worse.
Massive train derailed Friday, 20 of them carrying hazardous materials as flames lit up the sky in northeastern Ohio.
The evacuation order is in place for anyone within a mile radius of the crash site.
These aren't storm clouds. This is the fucking shit! The fucking shit that burned off in East Palestine! This is not fucking storm clouds! Look at it!
This is a story that we did report on, where again, Ohio cops were arresting a national news reporter for talking about it. If you're from Ohio, you should be furious what they did to you and your community. The corporations don't care so long as they earn a profit. And remember, the corporations control the media. The corporations control your favorite Democratic and Republican lawmaker in Washington, D.C. What's it going to take? How many more communities have to suffer? You know, I mean, Flint, Michigan still doesn't have clean drinking water. I mean, the people of Hawaii had their drinking water contaminated by the Navy. Chicago, a major metropolitan city, my hometown, still has lead in its drinking water. Plus, we did not 1 but 2 documentaries covering the, well, wonderful industrial facilities that are putting quote-unquote regulated toxic waste into Lake Michigan. You know, it's diluted. What they do is they mix the pollution with water, let it sit, and then they shoot it into Lake Michigan, a larger body of water. Let me tell you something. Dilution is not the solution, my friends. That water is still contaminated. There's all sorts of dangerous metals and other hazardous chemicals in that lake. I will never swim in it again for all the tea in China.
I got arrested because I was trying to do a live report about people.
Officials are claiming that the air and water are safe. Residents say they can still smell chlorine. They've complained about their eyes watering when they go outside, and one woman says the noxious air killed her chickens.
Out of nowhere, he just started coughing really hard and just shut down and went very fast.
Look at all these fucking crows. I'm not kidding. This is within 10 miles of East Palestine.
If you have not evacuated, please leave the area.
Happening in America, richest country in the world. Pete Buttigieg, what's going on with the railway system, buddy? Here, another video as well, another perspective, so all of you know what's going on. Because again, this is a failure of politicians. Deregulation. Deregulation, corporate bribery, abuse of power. I wonder when the Democrats and Republicans in Washington, D.C. are going to do something. Are they going to ensure these people are going to be taken care of? What are the long-term consequences? What's going to happen to them? That's the big question mark that a lot of people in the state of Ohio need to know. And the thing is, I don't care how they voted. I don't care if those are Republican voters or Democratic voters. I don't care if they're libertarians or Greens or socialists. These are U.S. citizens that were exposed to dangerous chemicals because of the failure of the corporations that run the railways here, the failure of the politicians to hold these corporations accountable. This is a failure of the media. This is a failure of every single institution and innocent Americans. And again, I don't care who they worship, the color of their skin, or who they frickin' voted for. The fact that this happened in the United States should enrage people. So what's it going to take for people to step up? How much longer do we need to get slapped around? These politicians, they dance and drink because they believe you are weak. So if you vote Republican or Democrat, you're a sucker. You're a victim of abuse. You got to wake up. They allowed this to happen. You want to know what your favorite politician is doing in Washington, D.C. if you vote Democrat or Republican? They're not fighting for your values. If you think they're fighting for your values, well, then you must believe Santa Claus, the Tooth Fairy, Bigfoot, Loch Ness Monster exists. So good. Good on you. Okay. You know what they're doing? They're on the phone calling their donors for more money, or they're playing a game called insider trading, where they get some updated information so they get more money off the stocks that they like to buy and sell. That's what they're doing in D.C. They are not fighting for you.
In the middle of the country, a giant chemical fireball, 100-foot flames, and very few people asking questions about what led up to this. So there was a derailment in 2012 in New Jersey,
releasing 20,000 gallons of dangerous chemicals and noxious gas into the air.
There's children in the town that are being affected by this.
And there was pressure on regulators to do something about those kinds of trains. And so the Obama administration had a rule proposed to better regulate these trains. The National Transportation Safety Board told the regulatory agency, said, listen, these regulations should broadly cover not just oil, they should cover what's known as Class 2 chemicals. And the chemical industry lobbyists went to work pressuring the regulatory agency to limit the definition of what a high hazard flammable train is. Limit it in a way that the train in Ohio, that kind of train ended up not being classified as a high hazard flammable train.
The NTSB closely monitoring 4 cars that are filled with vinyl chloride. It has been found to be linked to cancer.
Trains that were subject to this rule were going to be required to use a special kind of new braking system to try to deter or at least reduce the damage from derailments.
ECP delivers the unmatched performance of air brakes with the precision of electronic communications.
Most trains in the country are still using technology from the Civil War era. But the moment the government was considering making it a mandate, the railroad industry's changed its tune. It cited cost concerns to pressure against that rule.
We want to see federal regulations when they're necessary, not just...
So again, trust the capitalists. Trust the corporations, my friend. When it's needed. When it's needed. So let's see. Let's have democracy in the chat. What do you guys and gals want on your train safety for brakes? Would you want brakes that are from the Civil War era? Or would you want some new updated brakes that are for the modern era? So ensure that public safety and communities are good. Like type 1 if you want the Civil War era brakes. Type 2 if you want the updated modern brakes. I mean, let's see where all of you swing with that vote. Let's just see.
In reaction to a headline in the Washington Post.
Obama's rule included that measure to expand the larger use of those brakes on the nation's rail system. But in that 2016 election year, the Republican Party got about $6 million from the rail industry. And Senate Republicans started beating the drum for Trump to repeal the rule. Donald Trump repealed the brake rule so that the industry does not have to even start to use these kinds of brakes. One former Federal Railroad Administration regulator told us that these brakes, which are known as ECP brakes, would have mitigated.
By the way, I noticed a lot of you type 2. And you know what? Brilliant. But guess what? You don't have that option because this is America and you're going to be stuck with the Civil War brakes.
A disaster like this. And we just learned today, after the publication of our story, federal officials told us that this train did not have those brakes on the train.
So again, we don't know what the long-term consequence will be for the people, especially in Ohio and all the outlying, again, Palestine. Sorry, I pronounced it wrong earlier in the episode, so there you go. I apologize for that. But I want to pull up this this wonderful list of names of people. Shout out to Comrade Misty. She does phenomenal work. She's been a great guest on the show. I want to pull this tweet up just so all of you could see it too. So these are the names of the people profiting off of Ohio's Chernobyl. The board of directors: why Mr. Thomas D. Bell Jr., Mitchell E. Daniels Jr., Marcela E. Dondio, John C. Jack Hufford Jr. Oh, there's 3 juniors already. Christopher T. Jones, Thomas C. Kellheller, Stephen F. Lear, Michael D. Lockhart, Amy E. Miles. Hey, we got a girl boss. Claudia Mangua. Okay, hey, another girl boss. Jennifer F. Scallon, another girl boss. Alan H. Shaw, James A. Squires, John R. Thompson. Oh, senior officers. Alan H. Shaw, President and Chief Executive Officer. There you go. Anna A. Adams, Executive Vice President and Chief Transformation Officer. Oh, wow, great. Paul B. Duncan, Executive Vice President, Chief Operating Officer. Claudia E. Kellens, Executive Vice President and Chief Marketing Officer. Great. Mark R. George. Hey, Georgie, how you doing? Executive Vice President and Chief Financial Officer. Great. We got Nabita C. Nag, EVP and Chief Legal Officer. We got Michael R. McKellen, last but certainly not least, Senior Vice President and Chief Strategy Officer. Senior Vice President and Chief Strategy Officer. That's a long title. Hey, where's the Director of Food and Beverage, guys? Huh? Shout out to Comrade Misty. These are the names of the people. By the way, in this live stream, there's a link to the show notes. It's a Google link, and you could find this link from our wonderful friend, Comrade Misty, is Putin's buddy, Sarcasm Stardust, and you could find this little tweet, so share it. These are the names of the board of directors. These are the fantastic people right here. Look at these fantastic individuals. They're doing such a great job, aren't they? Now, again, don't want to point fingers, but, you know, Pete Buttigieg. This is happening in your neck of the woods. This is your territory. I mean, last I checked, trains are part of transportation, and you are part of the Department of Transportation. Any kind of statement from the Biden-Harris administration should be very interesting to see. Because, again, this accident took place on February 3rd. Now, we do know this. Everyone that was in a position of power that could have prevented this chose not to. They chose to cut corners, to take in more profits, to turn a blind eye to an ongoing problem. And I'm pretty certain about this. I'm very certain about this, that there have been numerous attempts by individuals who tried to warn everyone and everything that was associated with this, Norfolk Southern train, freight train, and all the politicians saying, hey, heads up, there's something wrong here. There's a disaster looming around the corner. We could stop this if we have time. But I just want to bring up again, AOC, Bernie, all of you quote-unquote progressive lawmakers in Washington, D.C. who care about workers' rights. Do you feel bad about, not standing up for the railroad workers? Because I'm willing to bet that there's so many railroad workers that are being worked to death that they have been screaming from the rooftops for a very long time in regards to just how dangerous everything is. We talked about this even in 2020, 2021, and 2022, and the fact that America has a crumbling infrastructure problem. We do. It's falling apart. We're not number one. We have an antiquated infrastructure that our politicians refuse to update because they got to do their insider trading. They got to get on the cover of Vogue. They have to do their little bribes and dance and play their little games with each other back and forth. You know, a lot of these politicians, especially those that represent the state of Ohio, the U.S. senators and U.S. House representatives, to the constituents that live in the state of Ohio, your U.S. representative, your U.S. senator has gold-plated health care. They have a six-figure salary, and they have so many other wonderful social benefits waiting for them, too. This is America's Chernobyl. This is our problem. And right now, there are many politicians that are going to try and blow this off and say, it's not as bad. You could still stay in your homes. Just don't breathe for too long. Don't go outside for a very long time. Stay indoors, but you'll be fine. Who's going to help the people of Ohio? Not Washington, D.C. They're okay with sacrificing Americans. And these old dinosaurs in Washington, D.C. are okay with this. They're okay with potential disasters down the road, too, because they are safe. They get to eat the most finest of foods, drink the most finest of wines, have other wonderful benefits waiting for them, while their own people are suffering and starving. If you're not angry about every single injustice that's been done to us, I don't know what to tell you. But if you think voting Democrat or Republican is going to solve the problem, you're a fool. We deserve better. The people of Ohio deserve better. And I hope I'm wrong about this, but geez, maybe next month or the months after, there's going to be another train derailment of other dangerous chemicals. And another community, perhaps yours, perhaps mine, will suffer because of it. These politicians are okay with people suffering and dying. They don't like you. They don't think about you. And they don't respect you.